All right, welcome to Dynamic Family Solutions podcast. My name is Bryan Wright. I'm the founder and owner of Dynamic Family Solutions, where we design and develop second chance educational curriculums to better benefit youth and help to be able to service counties with issues or areas in need, dealing with just the never-ending shortage or slew of issues. Here on our podcast, we are going to be bringing in experts from all over, being able to talk through about the areas and the issues that they're seeing within their counties and or within the programs that they're running, the issues that are just the most prevalent with the youth, and essentially what are we doing about it? What are some effective solutions that have been working, and how are we trying to be able to collaboratively come together to just solve these never-ending issues? So for our very first ever podcast, I could not think of anybody better to be able to bring on board other than Tara Eichstedt, who was the co-creator and the co-author to our curriculum, our Showing Up a Truancy curriculum. So thank you so much for being on and coming out.
Thank you, Bryan. Thank you for having me. I am super excited about this.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey from the first time we got to do the training with you to then all of a sudden you reaching out saying you were looking for a new curriculum that there just really wasn't any programming for, or that you didn't really see any viable solutions at the moment to be able to work with. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us about the areas or the issue that you had reached out with, or that what you were seeing as being the big concern?
Yeah, I actually, because you had came into the county where I work and you had trained a few of us on a couple of your other curriculums, and what I really liked about yours was that, because after we were trained on them and then we actually had some groups going with youth, just the engagement and the conversation and the planting of seeds you could really see in these kids happening was awesome and really inspiring. And so from that was when I had started thinking about, truancy is an issue that is everywhere. It's something that everyone struggles with. I've been in the field for 10 years, and it is something that we are constantly, schools, the community, counties are trying to come together to think of what can we do to help these youth. And there are programs out there, there are supports out there, but I had not seen a curriculum for it. And so I had thought about yours and just how well your other ones were. So I was like, I'm going to ask Bryan and see if he would like to write one. So, and that's when you came back with me what'd you ask? You want to do it with me? And I, at first, was like, I don't know, but I decided to go for it, and here it is. So, yeah.
Being able to hold the very first copy in your hands and, not really understanding the behind the scenes of what it takes to be able to develop. This is now Dynamic Family Solutions' 9th curriculum that we've been able to develop. So we've been able to work out quite a systematic way of putting things together, and to be able to get to share that and open that up to you, and go through the ins and outs. And actually, we didn't introduce, but we were saying, because you were working with Green Lake County as the Children and Families Team Coordinator.
Yeah, I work with youth who struggle in school and the community with behaviors, mental health, anything, and just kids who need more support. And so that's where I come in to help bring everyone together to kind of get on the same page and what are the ways that we can really support these kids. And yes, truancy is something that we have ongoing conversations about. How can we help these youth? And what I was seeing happening more and still happening is lots of people, our agencies, counties, the schools just, find these kids or try to send them through the youth justice route, which none of it's helpful. It's not being helpful, really. So instead, these kids start to fall behind and actually kind of get lost in the shuffle and forgotten about. And so it's just something that I'm super passionate about. Every kid should have a high school diploma or graduate, and just getting these kids to understand the value in that and how it really is thinking long term about their future is really what is part of this curriculum. And what I love about it too is that it's also not, it comes at youth in a way that's about school but not about school. So that's what's really cool about it too. one of the many things
about school, but not about
Yes.
school. Can you kind of explain a little more about that, or?
Yeah, the curriculum runs for 5 weeks. There's five weeks to it, or 5 parts, however I guess you want to do it. But in each week is three sections, a talking point, and activity. And each one's about a half hour long, but it really breaks down and gets to the core for youth, like what is their motivation and really what is stopping them, instead of trying to come for us adults to come at them about like why we think you should be in school, or why it's great for you. The curriculum gets them to think about why it is important for them to get to school. And again, not about school though, but just showing up for life. And
I like that.
yeah, and it scales. It goes broad, and then it comes all the way back down to like your thinking and your attitude and your thoughts, all that stuff. So it's super cool. It kind of reminds me of self-help meets personal development meets life coaching, kind of.
Self-help meets personal development meets coaching, and that sounds like the trifecta of amazing combinations. If you were to put anything together into one, that sounds like an amazing recipe for success. And I mean, that is really truly the question when they do fall between the cracks, or when they do get lost in the shuffle. How hard is that? I mean, that's the question of all, as to how do you actively truly get somebody to want to show up. And I feel like what we've created with that trifecta of all those things you had come up with really gets to the roots and the whys, like you said, of really inspiring or getting kids to actually want to be engaged and want to show up. And I mean, just having that dialect and having that conversation of getting to the actual roots of the why is so fundamentally important. And I feel like bringing you on board, because you have seen the why for so many years. Like you said, you've worked for a decade with families and youth, and you have really got to be able to see a lot of the needs and a lot of those areas of struggle. Can you speak to kind of like some of the trauma-informed care, or the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, as to which you've kind of, some of those areas of struggle that really do get kids to be able to fall further between the cracks? Or do you see a lot of the trauma-informed approach or the ACEs kind of built into the curriculum as well, to help address some of those whys?
Yeah, I think it's definitely woven into the curriculum, and I would say every youth that I've ever encountered definitely has an ACE score, for sure. I don't know, I guess, would you agree?
I would definitely agree. The adverse childhood experiences, and it goes from a scale of 1 to 10, if I'm correct, based on all the different things as to which they've experienced just growing up, or all the different areas of need as to where they've just seen certain traumas or have been dealing with more issues than others. And yeah, I've seen a lot of youth with 7, 8, 9 ACE scores that are...
Yes, and so I would, lots of these youth, I would say the adults around them, we always want to come at them like, just get to school, or stop doing this, but because they have trauma and are dealing, and it's ongoing trauma, right now they're living in trauma, or even if they've experienced it in the past, it is affecting their daily life, and they can't even focus on school being a priority right now, or what I am saying to them to do. So it's really trying to get them to see for themselves, see for themselves why it's important for them to change the cycle, the generational cycle, or whatever it is they're trying to overcome. Because we all know they want, because youth all tell us they want a nice house, they want a nice car, they want to move to California, they have these big dreams, they want to be a rapper, they want $1 million, they want all these things, which is awesome and amazing, and I'm their biggest cheerleader, but we have to, they don't understand all of the steps before then, or how it starts today for them. So that's what this curriculum, it goes into that, and it really breaks it down for them, and it's amazing to watch that click with them and to have the conversation with them. This is a really great conversation too to have with youth, the discussion questions in the curriculum, and in a group setting, it's really cool to see the kids talking and them supporting each other, encouraging each other versus, because you could do it alone, I guess, with a youth, but I don't think you'll have the same impact if it's with a group of youth.
Were there any activities that you had worked through or any activities that you've heard your staff kind of work through that they really resonated or thought were like just incredibly amazing and were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that?
Yeah, I actually have a coworker who she is doing the curriculum right now with a group of girls and who actually are on they have a truancy deferred prosecution agreement, so it's called the DPA. But she's doing this with them, and she's actually, she sees them weekly, and so on top of seeing them weekly, she's doing this with them. And one of the activities she had done with them, she called me afterwards, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, Tara, I have to tell you, it was like the best one yet." And then she went on to say, it was just super cool. We did, I think it was week 1, the third activity, and she was just saying, we were talking about the big goals, what they want to do, long term, and then we started to break it down and talk about how our attitudes and beliefs and how that really, it starts with those. And she's like, I could just see them clicking with them and planting those seeds. And she's like, they were super excited, and she just said it was amazing to see the aha moments in them. And yeah, it was like, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, because we don't always know, I guess, the impact if we're not doing it. So,
right.
But yeah, so on top of doing this with them, though, like I said, she's seeing them weekly as well, or a couple times a week, and just building that relationship with them, which I think is a big piece. On top, it's not just about a curriculum. The curriculum's not the magic pill. It's not going to fix the issue, but having a relationship with these kids and caring and being and genuinely caring and showing up is going to impact them too.
Isn't that the one statistic that they always talk about is out of all the aces you have, whether it's 7, 8, 9, or even 10 aces, it only takes one supportive person to be able to offset all those aces.
Yes.
And so
one consistent supportive person. Yes.
And that's what you're really providing, along with these messages that are engaging, drawing them in. And like you said, it is almost rare at certain moments to be able to see those aha real life things happen, where all of a sudden, because a lot of times in these fields, you got to wait 5-10 years to be able to have that one kid come back and be like, you remember that story you told me way back when? That really helped me. And you're like, you should have told me that like a year ago.
Yeah.
So to be able to notice in real time and to be able to see the brain's thinking and having that interaction and the engagement to that extent. I mean, I know they say it's plastered all over the walls everywhere. Attitude is a little thing, but it changes everything, right? Attitude is a little thing, but it changes everything. And to be able to see in real time that clicking up, I mean, it's one thing to be able to see it, but then to like realize it and connect it for yourself. And to have that supportive person doing that with them, that just sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I'll just say too, this coworker, there's 4 girls in this group, and she, since she's been working with them, they've been coming to school, and I just know that because I work with her and she tells me and stuff, but they have been coming to school. And I know, again, would want to say it's just because of the curriculum, but I know it's part of it, but it's also because she is showing up for them and meeting with them and caring about them. And whereas sometimes it's no one cares if they're in school or not, unless it's to unfortunately cite them, so, but yeah.
More of that punishment side, which is 100% what we're trying to be able to alleviate and get away from. And a lot of the curriculums that we develop are to offer these additional tools and support. And I mean, so I know it's not, the one thing that is like the magic pill or the magic cure. But I know, being able to have that additional support and just having somebody care that you're showing up and knowing that they are actually truly going. I mean, that speaks to some validity or some significance as to having something that is keeping them motivated enough, because I know a lot of teens that are forced to do a lot of things, and they'll just look at you and be like, no. Or they'll just be like, I don't want to. So, I mean, to some degree, it feels like some of that message does have to sink in enough to be able to get them to change that attitude in a way that makes them go, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think in like combination with this, again, it's just this stuff, as far as I know, the stuff in the curriculum is not taught in schools. You know, I'm an avid reader. I read a ton of this stuff, and so I never, got to read this stuff in school. So it's really cool to bring this to youth at the age they're at, and get them to think about what's in the curriculum. And like I said, the personal development, the life coaching, the self-help kind of stuff, and because it just makes you think and it makes you question things, and that's what ultimately can make you change and shift your perspective. And so that's what she's seeing with the youth that she's doing it with, which is awesome. So,
and it's so cool to hear. Well, and you've been trained in on numerous programs throughout all the years that you've been there. You've ran, would you say, hundreds of groups or worked with hundreds of families? Lots of different group settings, lots of different things. How do you see those variables that you kind of talked about earlier, but what other things do you see differentiating this program from a lot of those other ones that you've done or trained? Or
I would say for me it's been it's not so boring maybe for youth, not for me. Sure. For youth, it's really hard. Anyone who works with teens, it's hard to engage them sometimes. They're very, you have to take time to build rapport with them because they're very untrustworthy, which is understandable. So you have to take the time to get to know them before they're really going to trust you. And then even, sometimes it's like pulling teeth talking to them. But this, I will say, that's what drew me to wanting to do another curriculum with you, because of your ones that I was trained in and how it was really, I guess, super easy for them to just engage and talk about things. And it was really about them. Again, like other curriculums are about changing like the behavior, about coming at you, I think, as more of like something's wrong with you versus nothing's wrong with you. Let's just, give you different thoughts and ideas that are out there, and let's talk about this, or talk about your life right now. And it talks about, it gets you to talk about and self-reflect on themselves without them really knowing it, I guess, because, you don't realize that's what it really is, because you want to talk about yourself. Everyone wants to talk about themselves, but, so yeah.
It is.
Question.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely, it's not the shaking the finger and you're broken, you're defective, or you're a bad child, which is so much of the messaging that we hear, or that I've really seen doing 15 years of working in prevention education and working with domestic and sexual violence over all those years. And then all of a sudden you start seeing the kids acting out and behaving the same way as what they have seen throughout the generations of the trauma and abuse. And we've seen third, fourth generations of just awful stuff. And then you expect this child to be able to know differently, or to be able to act any differently.
Yeah, like it's so easy. Yes, I mean, I think that's, part of what I do for my role and my job is I bring together schools and the family and have team meetings. And what's really cool, and I've seen this in team meetings, school staff there, when they really hear what's happening at home with kids, and what these, even elementary age, middle school, high school, what these kids are going through, it opens up their eyes, because to them it is like, well, why can't they just do this? Why can't they, and I love school staff. I love teachers. They're amazing. I could never be a teacher in a classroom. So, but it's really, I see how it changes their perspective then on how they handle some of these youth and kids too. And I've seen teachers cry when they hear what youth are really struggling with, because they don't have any idea, because again, youth don't you're not going to talk to you if you're not going to open up and try to form a connection and relationship with them. So, and that's, when you're a teacher and you have hundreds of kids, really coming into your classroom throughout the day, in and out, it's I mean, that's yeah, so.
It is commendable for sure.
Yes. Oh yeah. And but someone has to make the connection with these kids and really listen to them and support them.
That's truly incredible. I love that you're getting the community and you're getting everybody involved to really step up and be a part of it and be able to have that consistent messaging, to be able to share what you're doing as well, to be able to bring that in and just be able to say, there's way more behind the scenes. When you peer behind those curtains and you take a look, we're starting to realize that there is way more behind the scenes than what we could imagine. And so for everybody taking a different approach and for everybody getting on the same page, it's nice to see a community get together and just know the struggle, know where things are coming from, and then better work together to address it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like as well we did the trainings, and as we try to be able to implement the curriculums or the programs into different areas, I feel like that's one, kind of like what we said, that's one thing that we try to be able to do is have consistent messaging, because so often things can be talked about in so many different lights or so many different angles, or people have so many different approaches to one thing, as to where these kids are just bombarded with so much to where I feel like it could just be overwhelming or too much at one time.
Yeah.
So to have one consistent program or tool that's being utilized throughout, and to consistently have that, I feel like is an amazing option to have. Have you noticed the schools or different individuals picking up on the curriculums as well, or have they been very receptive to the messaging and just kind of as you showed them the?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it's still like very new and trying to get it off the ground, but yeah, I would say there's definitely been interest from different counties and the schools, and right now the group that we're doing at the county is with the middle school. I think it's 8th graders. Okay. But and then we're talking about getting together with school resource officers and trying to kind of get them this book so they can go share with their schools and as a different alternative option versus giving a citation to families for not coming to school. So that's hopefully something that we can do probably more towards the start of, next school year versus now. But yeah, okay. So it's definitely lots of interest for sure.
That's awesome. So you're already having those contacts, you're already having the connections, and you're thinking that it could authentically be started to be ran as a full diversionary curriculum or as an alternative to those tickets and to the.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think we've kind of, we have already have started to have those conversations, and sure. We're just trying to figure out kind of more, I guess, the logistics of it and how many. Because schools all there's a certain number of days before a kid gets a truancy. And so it's just trying to figure out where can we put this, offer this alternative instead of, more about like at what day should we offer this alternative? Or should we wait till they meet their truancy? And so they're just like logistical things that we have to figure out. So.
But it sounds like you're having those conversations, and it sounds like everybody's willing to come to the table and do that with you. So that's huge. As long as you're having the conversations, that's better than Yes. That's a good station to be at. Most people don't even make it to that part. They just have meeting after meeting after meeting and hope something comes out of it. But at least you have a viable option and a tool that everybody is getting on board with or supporting. So we've been talking all about our truancy curriculum and what we've been able to design and develop and what we're starting to be able to implement into different counties and areas and what we're hoping to be able to spread. And I'm just really excited that, like I said at the very beginning, that we were able to put something together, as you said, that's engaging, that's interactive. You said one of the biggest areas is to really be able to get these kids to be able to open up and trust. Do you see how do you feel like the curriculum's laid out in a way that's earning their trust like right away? Because I know, like you said, unless you have something that like pulls them in, because kids have seen it all or they've been heard these messages. And I feel like that's the one big thing is they get into so much trouble, but it's only when they get into trouble where all of a sudden they get surrounded by 5-10 people. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, we're here to help. And these kids are like, where were you 5-10 years ago? Or where were you at the beginning when I wasn't showing up? And now that's where we're trying to catch them is at the very beginning. But even at the very beginning, you still need to earn that trust. Were there any activities or anything that stood out to you in a way that made you feel like this curriculum was able to help break down those barriers or break down those walls a little faster? Or
I would say it's just not, I mean, all, with the activities, but also the facilitator, the person who is running the group plays an important role in that too. But I think all of the activities in some way do, because with the very first one, it's not at all what youth expect, because when I've presented this to them, because I've done this with individual youth teams that I work with, and it's just, that's why it's not the same with a group versus individually. But I will say, because they're always like eye roll, another, like, I know I need to go to school. I know this stuff. And so I always present it as, well, let me just read this first talking point and let's do this activity and then give me your feedback. I need your help on this. I'm trying to get your guys' expertise on if this is good or not. And so, and then they'll listen, and it's really cool because what I have seen is after we go over the first talking point and then do the activity, they are kind of like, yeah, that's not, at all what I expected. And the activities are designed so well, thanks to you, Bryan, because they really get, like I said, they really get kids to just think about themselves, and it's not in a way where it's adults asking them to change their behavior. It's just self-reflection for themselves, and that's where that's where they can connect dots about what they've been doing and how that's impacting and affecting their life versus an adult telling them, So that's what's really cool about it too.
Every bit of change needs to come from within, right? And if we're getting those messages to be able to sink in enough to be able to hear that, and I know throughout each of the curriculum or each of the activities, we actually work towards being able to build out some main objectives to be able to help continue to instill and get them to internalize and reflect about why change is so important, why showing up is so important. Can you talk more to our acronym that we built out? We created our DRIVE acronym that we put into each of the weeks. And as you said earlier, each week has the 3 individualized activities, and we're really able to gauge and measure the validity of each of those activities through our DRIVE. Are you able to share more about that?
It is pretty cool for them to be able to tie in, because the DRIVE acronym that all ties into the pre-test and post-test, and so it'll be really neat to see and interesting to see the results of those for sure, and compare them from beginning to the end.
The end, for sure, because that is what we are striving for. Our agency, and what we do is we don't want to be putting something out that's going to be wasting kids' time. The last thing we want to be able to do is have something that's not effectively working or engaging kids the way it should be. I always say, we are actively trying to be able to creatively come up with the most up-to-date, most engaging and impactful activities and concepts as possible. And with these measurements that we built kind of into every one of the weeks, and being able to partner then with UW-Oshkosh, which has been one of the greatest partnerships ever, because then they can give us real-time data and see the results of each of the groups. And then once we have those measurements, we can empirically be able to look at what we can change, what we need to alter, what's working, what isn't. And I feel like, yeah, just seeing those measurements in real time is so powerful as well. As you were talking earlier about seeing the actual engagement and the reactions from the students, which we know personally makes an impact and has that, but then also to have the data to be able to back that up, and really be able to solidify that piece of it as well. Is, you know, it's one thing to be able to tell a cool story versus another to be able to monitor the effect of it. Engage and see that kind of in real time. So
and I know, I mean, we need to have data because that's important. And when I do present this to people who are interested and maybe wanting to buy it or learn more about it, I will you know, be upfront. I don't know yet, you know, exactly the impact, but what I do know is this isn't going to hurt. This is it. Like I said, it's like self-help, self-empowerment, self-development, life coaching. It's a mixture of all this stuff. And so, and I just remembering too, you know, what we see a lot for these truancy kids, what I have seen is there's lots of people trying to help. And so they like have different programs in the school or in the community. So, which is great. It's awesome. These youth need support, but there hasn't been what I've seen, something that gets them to think and try to understand why it's so important for them to show up just for their life. And so that's where this is a huge piece of it too, because we continue to pull resources to try to help, which is great, but we need to dig further and deeper. And I think that's what this does. So
I think you just came up with the entire marketing campaign right there within a few words. That was amazing. Rolling all of it together and having all those elements and pieces put into the brand new Truancy curriculum showing up. It has been a beyond incredible experience getting to be able to do the trainings with your county and then having you come up with this whole new concept and idea of creating the Truancy curriculum. And yeah, I've loved getting to be able to partner with you and put this together. And I'm really excited to continue to spread it and share it with all the other agencies, counties, and communities that are out there.
Yes, me too. I mean, it's been great too for me to work with you, Bryan. You are, you have a lot going on up there, and you're super creative, and you have great activities and great ideas. So it's been really cool to work together and bring something together, and it's here and it's awesome. So yeah.
We did it. Oh my gosh. And now she's actually a sneak peek. She's come to me with another new idea that will be getting rolled out, and we'll be,
Yeah. Super excited about that.
So stay tuned. We'll probably have you back on when we get to build out the next one and be able to talk about that. But yeah, I am so thankful for all that you've done over the past decade, to be able to, the commitment that you've had with the families, the youth, all the programs that you've ran, all the experience that you've brought into this, and just your knowledge, like you said, the amount of reading and everything else that you're constantly learning, and you're constantly growing in the field, and you've just been thriving. I mean, you see most people burn out after 4 or 5 years, but you just get more invigorated. And I see your passion just come through when it comes to, you're talking about your girl bosses, or your girl boss groups, and everything you've been doing with that. And it's just so neat to be able to see the passion still alive, and just to see you continue to grow, and wanting to better these family and kids. I mean, that's the greatest thing we could ever wish, want, or hope for when it comes to anybody working with our youth.
I am super passionate about it. It's, I feel like it's everyone's obligation to actually help, be supportive, do something. So, but yes, it is something that I'm super passionate about. And I always say to, the more I read and learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. And so I will never stop learning, that's for sure.
I think that was an Albert Einstein quote: the more I learn is the less I know. It's one of the greatest little philosophy tidbits. Life is, you're never done learning, you're never done growing. And I am so pumped to be able to continue to grow with you, and to continue to get to do some of these new curriculums, to continue to see the success of this one, and have this one rolled out. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you everybody thank you so much everybody for tuning in. This was our very first podcast for Dynamic Family Solutions. Like it, share it, post it. If you found something of value, be able to just kind of comment or let us know what you liked, what you thought of the curriculum. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to our website, dynamicfamilysolutions.net, not .com. That's old school, it's .net, more legit and authentic. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here today, Tara.